We are to find the slope of the line that passes through the given pair of points. Then find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form and determine the locations of the x and y intercepts. Now the points are 3, 4, and -2, -1. So in order to plot the point 3, 4, we'd go to 3 on the x-axis and 4 on the y-axis, and where those two things cross up, we would have the point 3, 4. -2, -1, we'll go to -2 on the x-axis and -1 on the y-axis, and there's the dot, -2, -1. And then we'll just draw a line that goes through those 2 points. And in order to find the slope of that line, let's think for a second about what the slope is. Sometimes it's called the rise over the run. And what that means is to get from one point on the line to another, what are the directions? How far up or down would we go? That's the rise. And then how far left or right would we go? That's the run. So if we were to start at this first dot, 3, 4, and then just start counting up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we would be even with this other dot. And if we start counting to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we would actually hit the dot. So to get from one point to the next, we would go up 5 for a rise, and then to the right 5 for a run. Now up is positive and to the right is positive. Down would be negative and to the left would be negative. So this slope then, this rise over run, is 5 over 5, or in other words 1. So the slope of this line is 1. Now another way to find that would be to use the formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And what we would do then is label one of these dots x1, y1 and the other one x2, y2, and then plug those values into this formula. So y2 is -1, y1 is 4, so -1 minus 4. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. x2 is -2 and x1 is 3. Now we have -5 over -5, or again +1. So either way we do this, we find that the slope is 1. Let's notice though that here we had -5 over -5 for a rise over run. If we start from the dot 3, 4, and then think about how would we get to the dot -2, -1, we could do that by going down 5 and to the left 5. So what we see then is that up 5 to the right 5 is the same as down 5 to the left 5 in terms of the slope of a line. The reason for that is because down is negative and left is negative, and we still wind up with the same value, +1, because the negatives cancel. We're also supposed to find the equation of this line in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form looks like this: y equals mx plus b. And in this form, the slope is here, m, and the y-intercept is here, and it's given the letter b. So how are we going to find this? Well, we already know the slope. The slope is 1. We also know some ordered pairs, like for instance this one, 3, 4. That's an xy ordered pair that go together. So in other words, this equation is satisfied when y is 4 and x is 3. So in other words, I'll put 4 in for y, 1 for m, 3 for x, and then solve for b. So what we have is 4 equals 3 plus b. We subtract 3 from both sides, and we find that b is 1. So this slope-intercept form then would be y equals x plus 1. mx, 1x plus b, 1. Now we can look at our graph and see all of that. Here is the y-intercept. The line's just a little bit off, so I just need to make it big and it goes through there. But in the slope being a 1, an understood 1 that we don't really write there, we said the slope was 5 over 5, but remember that 5 over 5 is also equal to 1 over 1. So I could get from one point to the next by going up 1 to the right 1. So if I start at our original point here and go up 1 to the right 1, I end up at minus 1, 0. Up 1 to the right 1, I end up at 0, 1, just like we found to be our y-intercept. Up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1, up 1 to the right 1, and eventually I get to that other point, 3, 4. Now we know what the intercepts are. We just found them just by counting. This x-intercept is minus 1, 0, and the y-intercept is 0, 1. But let's look at a way that we might find intercepts if we have an equation. In order to find the intercepts, you can put 0 in for x and make yourself a little t-chart here, and then list out what y is, what y value satisfies the equation when x is 0. If I put 0 in for x, I'm going to get 1 for y. But we already knew that. The dot we found to be the y-intercept here. And to find the x-intercept, we can put 0 in for y and solve for x. And if we put 0 in for y, we're going to get negative 1 for x. And we already knew that. The dot here that we found, minus 1, 0, where it crosses the x-axis. So we have our slope. We have the equation of the line, y equals x plus 1. And we have our x and y intercepts, 0, 1, and negative 1, 0.